Why should you go through the Panama Canal at least once in your life? Well, primarily because it's one of the world's most incredible feats of engineering. We just went through the canal for the third time, and it's always amazing. But first, I'd like to thank our viewers for your patience. It's been almost 2 months since our last video. And now we're back at it. During January and February, we took a 2-month trip. We went to South America and Antarctica. And during that time, much of that time was, in getting there was on a ship. And as those of you who have been on ships traveling, sometimes the internet is very sporadic, and that's the way it was here. And especially as you get down further south towards Antarctica, it was really difficult, and so we were unable to post some videos. So now we're back at it, and so for the next several weeks, we're going to be catching you up on what we encountered and bringing you some of the highlights of our trip before we're off on our next global adventure. Okay, back to the canal. For years, ships had longed for a passage between the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans, where they didn't have to make the long trip around the end of South America. Being able to cut through the Isthmus of Panama saves about 8,000 miles of sea travel. The French had attempted to build a canal in the 1880s, but ultimately failed. And then in 1904, the U.S. took over the project and started building the canal, and it was completed in 1914. The U.S. administered the canal for several decades after that, and the U.S. finally turned the canal over to the Republic of Panama in 1999. Now, it takes about 15 hours to transit the entire 48-mile canal, including the waiting time to go through the 3 sets of locks, because you start, it doesn't matter if you're starting from the Atlantic or the Pacific, you're at one level, and then you have to go through these locks to get up to a certain level and then back down to get over. It's not like the Suez Canal, which is just a straight shot. And when you're going through those locks, it's always a fun sight to see the ships coming and going. Now, these little locomotives here, they don't pull the ships through. The ships go in, through the canal under their own power. But what these little locomotives are for is to keep tension between the ship and the shore, so that it keeps the ship centered going through the canal. Because sometimes there is only perhaps 1.5 feet of clearance between the ship and the concrete wall. Part of the canal transits through Gatun Lake, which is a man-made lake that was formed during the construction of the canal. And it's here that our monkey viewing adventure, or non-adventure, took place. Well, Tanya, here we are in Panama. Unbelievable, isn't it? And we're out in the jungle, and apparently we're going to go out on the river and see if we can find some crocodiles, maybe.
Yeah. And we'll go by jungle. And look for monkeys.
And maybe the elusive 3-toed sloth.
Ooh.
Oh my God, it's going to be exciting. So come on along, adventure lovers. I'm sure you're going to really dig this episode. Come on. Okay, adventure fans, we are on the lookout for a 3-toed sloth or a crocodile. We're just not sure. Our guide is busy making animal sounds, trying to attract the wildlife. But so far, all we see is a piece of plastic on the shore, not making any noise at all.
Up there. Oh. On your head. Yeah. Aww.
Well, that finishes our speedboat tour through Gatun Lake, and looking at wildlife. We did see 2 or 3 different varieties of monkeys, and You know, some different birds, pelicans. We saw a couple of really cool iguanas. And so I guess if you're coming to Panama and you have a little bit of time on a day to, about 5 hours or so to spend, it's a pretty good little trip to take. It's, the boats through Gatun Lake, which is 85 feet above sea level and above the different locks that, of course, the ships take to get up here. And Gatun Lake is this huge man-made lake. So that's where we were, and that's why we saw those big ships there. And here comes the lovely Tanya. Now we're going to board our lovely tour bus and go back and have some lunch. Ta-ta.
Bye.
Bye.